Hello, everyone, and welcome to ScoreVision Advantage, a podcast where we share the latest happenings in sports tech and fan engagement. I'm your host, Ashley Peterson, Marketing Director here at ScoreVision. In today's episode, we have very special guests, Jeff and Blake Graviett. Jeff is the Athletic Director at Notre Dame Regional High School, and Blake is his son and the student content creator for the school. Today's show is all about how to engage students in creating content for your scoreboards so you can enhance the game day experience. We hope you enjoyed today's show. I am joined here with Blake and Jeff Graviett from Notre Dame Regional High School in Missouri. Blake, how's it going today?
It's going pretty good. My name is Blake Graviett, like you said. Recent graduate at Notre Dame Regional High School in Cape Girardeau, and this is the first year that we were able to get the ScoreVision boards and really changed my year at Notre Dame as a perspective here.
Awesome. Jeff, how about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been at Notre Dame, seems like forever. I'm getting 25 plus years. I started out coaching there when I was attending SEMO, the local university. Been there my entire career. I've been the athletic director for the past 5 or 6 years. Coached baseball and softball. Just recently gave up those two sports. 25 plus years there, and just a lot of excitement around. The school's been known for their athletics for years. Just always trying to take that next step, and we found a way to do that through ScoreVision and our new digital scoreboards.
Yeah, so I guess first things first, let's set the scene here. So how did you guys first hear about ScoreVision, and how'd you get rolling with your new scoreboards?
So we have a school that is pushing 25 years old. At the time, pre-COVID, we were past that 20-year mark, and they had the original scoreboards in the gym. And knew as the athletic director, that was going to be one of my big first tasks, was replacing the scoreboards in the gym. And so many things go through your gym and do. And I knew that I wanted to put up at least one digital board. I didn't know a whole lot about the market, but I knew enough that that's the future, that we needed to at least have one if we have two traditional boards and one digital board. That's what I was really looking at. Just started researching and found Chris Kern with Digital Scoreboards. Was someone that I didn't know at the time, but when I reached out to him, found out he was actually from Missouri, about 20 miles north of us, where he went to high school and stuff, and just started setting up some dialogue with him, and he'd come down and talk to us. And then COVID, him and I spent a lot of time sending messages back and forth because there just wasn't a whole lot to do. And he came back with a master plan of putting 5 boards up on campus, helping us get financing with them, and said and talked to me about ScoreVision. When we talked about the software, all I'm thinking is digital boards. Didn't realize, hey, I'm gonna have to make a decision on a software package. Give us a couple different options, and really said ScoreVision would set us apart from everybody else, and that's the direction we went, and couldn't be more excited that we did.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier when we were talking prior to recording, so the college that's near you guys, they're using a completely different system. What's the difference between that? What's that like?
So when Chris was talking about that, I mean, and again, we had the option that comes with the boards, or we had a yearly subscription option. So hey, why would we pay for this yearly subscription? So Chris really said, hey, you'll be superior. Chris had 2 boards over at SEMO, our local college, as well, and he said you'll be superior to their software. And at first I was like, how can we be superior to a Division I school? I mean, how are we going to be superior to that? And so I started questioning some of the stuff, and he brought up the fact, hey, they got to do a lot of stuff through ESPN. They have to do, all their stuff has to flow, so that, keeping up with their apps. And right now, ScoreVision staying at the high school level, they feel like they can do a lot more. And start talking about the cloud base, which is starting to get out of my realm of my expertise of what he meant by that. But now, after having conversations with the AD at SEMO and stuff, and the fact that we can pull anything out of the cloud and run it to any of our boards, they can't do that. They have to go and manually put it on the board that they have, spend time. They have to have it, has to be saved up on that, or we can just we can produce something from home, drop it in the cloud, and we can put it on our boards right away. Not to mention then getting into all the depth of the capture app and all the stuff with that. But it's been phenomenal, and it's definitely an upgrade to what we see across campus.
That's awesome. And I guess that kind of segues right into our conversation too, a little bit with Blake, because I'm assuming you're probably also the person who's uploading content into the cloud as well, right?
Yeah, I was. And like when he said, I remember he came home one time, he was talking about the boards, and he said the same thing, we're going to be more superior to SEMO, and I just couldn't believe it either. But pretty much since that time, which was like late July, I started helping make content for the softball team in August. So uploading that to the cloud and figuring all that out.
Yeah. So what all have you tapped into as far as creation? So I know you mentioned you're getting a little bit as far as animations and all of that, but what all are you using to create that content, and how have you been able to learn all of that? Because you right now, right, there's no exact program for Notre Dame, correct? There's no class.
There's
So you're teaching yourself how to create all this content.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the inspiration is I've always liked watching like the MLB and stuff. You like look at what they do. Me and him always had to talk about like closers and how they have like some kind of cool intro. So I'd be like trying to take ideas from that, and the first thing I'd go to is first go to YouTube, and look up like I kind of self-taught myself Adobe Premiere Pro, After Effects, and Photoshop and all of that. So I'd look up some kind of Adobe After Effects, and one of the projects that a lot of people really liked was our logo reveal, where I had a saber trace out of the bulldog, and it finally finished. And that was like the first thing I did was I go to YouTube and look something up like that to help our basketball boys intro.
Awesome. So then you started creating all this content, and then in addition to that, you started finding other students, right, who are tapping into other things like video and photography, stuff like that, that could kind of aid the creation a little bit, correct?
Yeah, we tried to kind of start a club out of it. It's been a slow start to try to find other people, but I think now, because like at first I don't think people realized the full scale of what this was, and I was trying to help pick that up and trying to show people like what the full scale was going to be. We were able to find one or two people to help for a little bit, and I think they did graduate. But like he said earlier on, that we are having freshmen come in and they're ready and they're excited to do it. And I'm more than excited to be able to help out next year at Notre Dame to help these freshmen and stuff. Hopefully, learn the full scale of what I've learned and more, because I think we're still just tapping into just what this program and boards can do.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I gotta ask, because this is like a brutally honest conversation for me about ScoreVision, but I gotta know, how easy do you really think it is to use ScoreVision? Like, has it really been? We talk constantly about how simple it is, but I want to know, is it really, from your perspective, that simple?
Once everything's uploaded and into the cloud, it's as simple as it could be. I mean, because we do things where I'd help create stuff in school, and the beauty of it was like during baseball season, I didn't have to go out to the baseball board and stuff. I would usually find him and he'd help me. We'd play it in the gym, and even people like then would like to see it. So I mean, the cloud system itself makes it so simple, as in just like it's just press and go, it's just press and play. And even like these last minute ideas, last minute creations we could do before the game were possible with ScoreVision, because there was no big install process. We just upload it from the computer we made it on into the cloud, and it would go straight onto the board.
Yeah, so you're able to assign all the content for our listeners, because we haven't really divulged into what all ScoreVision really does, but it's primarily a platform that allows for your scoreboards and for an out-of-venue experience to be ingrained into your entire fan experience. So the easy way to summarize that is literally everything from scorekeeping, production, and then also a little bit of capture and video solution as well. So I know you guys said you just recently got the boards, right? How long has it been? Have you been around for a year now?
Yeah, they got them installed at the end of July. We really got up and running just before the fall sports took off. And then really, again, I was coaching softball, so basically at the point in the fall, we wanted to have a working scoreboards. That was our goal, just to get the scoreboards working, and then slowly get into that. We got the advertising that helped us put those up, got that kind of rolling and going, and then we spent a lot more time diving in the winter, and I want to say, tweaking things and trying to perfect things a little bit more in the spring is how our year went last year.
Yeah, so there's still a lot more that you guys are still learning and figuring out about the system, because really it can go all the way from like your middle school gym all the way up to your college and even some professional team stadiums. But I want to know from you too, outside of just creating the content, you're also running the scoreboards, right? During most of your athletic events over at Notre Dame. So there's two separate sides of that, scorekeeping and then the producer. Which one are you working with?
Mostly the producer. When it comes I would say the faster paced sports like basketball, I didn't do both. I had somebody else do the scoreboard next to me, and I would be doing the producer. For like sports you could take, such as like baseball and soccer, it's like slow enough and it's so simple enough that you could do both there.
Yeah, awesome. So you've been able to use producer. So you're uploading all your content. You're then being able to go in. What has your experience been like with producer? And can you just maybe describe a little bit about what you've been able to do with that and what producer, I guess, does really?
Oh, I mean, it's been almost as simple as it could be. you have the different formats, and that's like I think the main thing you want to play with. Like, do you want the scoreboard in the video scoreboard format? Do you want the scoreboard up there with it? Would you rather show your content onto the full screen? And then also, like, one thing that we figured out late in the producer was we didn't figure out you could add music into the producer app. So that made it incredibly, like, much easier, because we used to have another iPad to run all the music, and now we figured out, like, when we want our hype music for, like, the tip-off before basketball and all this, we can just all run through the scoreboard software, and you can even play graphics with the music. And figuring all, like, that little stuff out and realizing how much you can just do in the ScoreVision app, the producer app, was a big help for us, for sure.
Do you have a favorite college sports team?
I don't have a favorite college sports team, no.
You do not? Okay, you played baseball for a little while, right?
Yeah.
So do you follow any pro baseball teams?
Yeah, we're big Chicago Cubs fans, and we're a few hours away from St. Louis, Missouri, so we're not exactly the favorites down there. But
I'm not a Cards fan, but I had to ask because I'm assuming, so have you been to a Chicago Cubs game before?
yeah, we have.
Okay, so can you describe for me, I mean, obviously, as far as the fan level goes, as far as how many fans are in the stadium, that's completely different.
Mm-hmm.
But from a production standpoint, have you noticed a difference since using ScoreVision?
Oh, yeah, and, like, one of the favorite things that I would do is be like the DJ at the basketball games, or we had an ad that had like a little song to it, and I'd have the students from the student section screaming at me to play it or to play this song. And it was almost just like, it was just like a great feeling there, like being able to DJ, being able to see the fans interact, play songs. Like, one of the ones I always like to play at the baseball game is YMCA. You can see everybody get up and dance. And just like figuring out what your fans like, what the sport, like different musics you want to play for different sports and all that, and figuring all that out was amazing.
So you guys are how many students would you say are at your high school?
We're between 500 and 600 students total.
Okay, so 500 to 600 students, and the fan experience at your games is probably relatively comparable as far as what you can do with ScoreVision as you would at a Cubs game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, especially like you feel like homecoming was always my favorite thing, whether it was like I used to do sports broadcasting, commentate those games, or in this year when I was producing those, the whole gym's full. So I mean, even though it doesn't look like as many people, your whole gym's packed. You have parents and students and the other team, and everything just all flows together. Or like when we're playing a rival team and like being able to play all this music and just see everybody get hyped up with you, trying to hype up your team.
Yeah. Have you guys noticed any difference as far as the surrounding schools that are within your district, or do you guys call them districts within Missouri? Okay. So within your district, have you noticed a difference in your away teams coming in and using your facility?
So our soccer team, we did nothing to the field as far as, and we have a beautiful facility. We take a lot of pride in our athletic facilities, from the grass to the everything that's surrounding them outside of the scoreboards as well. But soccer team was recently named Field of the Year, Natural Surface Field of the Year last year. And I truly believe it was strictly because my soccer guys caught on to the scoreboard. So they would play a European soccer game every day leading up to the game. They'd have a European soccer game on the board. These teams were blown away. We'd have teams, private schools from St. Louis coming down, and they just in awe. They're looking at the game, and they're like, you're watching the game, and then it transitions into the other. But it's just something simple as hooking it up and having a little bit of a different type of entertainment than what people were saying. And it, like he said, there's some commercials. People, you sit there, they're waiting on them. We talked about it. It's something that's new. You don't go to, our gym holds 1,200 people, and like he said, we'll have 3 or 4 events throughout the year, no matter whether we're good or not. That the gym's gonna be full. And it's just watching that. You're going to pay attention to that commercial because this is something new. You may be at a professional stage, you may be at the Cardinal game, and that it's just not the same. You know those advertisements sometimes, and you're just not in that. But in that surrounding, you're doing. We have a tremendous dance team at halftime. That Jim gets excited and wants to see the dance team. Well, as soon as their dance team's done, that's prime time. Like that whole gym is focused on that dance team. They're going to pick up what's on those boards. I mean, that's the time that you want to do. So getting those things and adding. And like I said, it spilled over to the local high school there is putting up 2 new digital boards, 1 on their football field and 2 in the gym, and using ScoreVision as well to do it. So I like to think we're catching on around here. I receive phone calls at least once a week or an email reaching out people who are in the market for digital boards and hearing about us around there. So I think it's going to be the new norm. I think your traditional boards are going away because you can have them any size. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with them. I think the digital boards and the software that goes with them is the future for sure.
You're certainly on the cusp of a trend, I believe, as far as tapping into digital versus like your fixed digit, normal, traditional, like you said, scoreboard. So with your new public school adding their scoreboards, are you planning on doing anything, working with them a little bit further on getting ScoreVision set up?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that's the main reason they want to hire me and to do stuff for them is just because of how much they've seen. He knows their athletic director very well, and I'm sure he's talked a little bit about them, but just coming in and seeing them, and like you can see these other schools, and especially like you talk about other faculty there to like students like that. Sometimes it seems like that's just their main focus is that board there. And they had I think, I don't know much about their football program. Their football program I think was really good last year, and I know their basketball program was really good. So you're talking about like possibly making more highlight videos for them and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a school of 1,100 kids. I mean, their goal is, he's heard me talk a lot. That's one of my favorite things to talk about right now is scoreboards for the past year and a half. I seem I know quite a bit about and getting in the depths of them from the whole end of it stuff. And it just, like I said, talking about the future of it, but talking to the local ADs and whatnot with that, he's heard me talk a lot about them. He knows where we're going. And yeah, they're 1,100 kids, and they want to transform it into a school. Blake here went to the CTC and did some coding. It's a career in technology that we share within our area, which is housed at their high school. So that's where he did some coding stuff. So they know they have the capability of making this a class and turning it, and again, that it's a future. They had a digital board up on their football field before, but after seeing what was capable with ours compared to the old one they had, I think there's a lot what they're jumping on board and doing.
That's awesome. So, okay, I'm curious about a little bit more as far as where you plan to go as you move forward, Blake. So you're getting ready to go off to college, right? You graduated in May. Mm-hmm. Where are you planning to go to school? What are you planning on studying? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I'm actually going to be doing two different things. I'm going to SEMO's campus, but I don't know how to really explain it. It's one of their like community college campuses a little further away from where I live, using a scholarship that I use. But I'm also going to a program called Codify to learn more about programming and technology and that kind of stuff. Like web design and all that. And one thing I've noticed too, like the more I've been doing like graphic design and stuff for these boards, is actually helping me produce better like websites and able to do all that. But I'm also now realizing more and more as I've gotten schools emailing me. I'm working for Cape Central, the local high school, and him next year, is that this is a real possibility to something I could do in my future. And I just love doing it, like especially sports. I've always been a sports fan. I've always liked creating stuff ever since I was little, trying to make YouTube channels, trying to just entertain people. And the hardest part about an entertaining industry is finding your
niche.
Your niche, but like your audience. That's what I was trying to think. You're trying to find your audience, and with the scoreboards and with the ScoreVision, now I have an audience. Now I can produce the content, because content was never the hard thing for me. I love that. It was finding that audience, and now I have that audience to go to.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So I think it's also really cool that all the skills that you've been able to learn while trying to produce this different experience for Notre Dame has now translated into additional areas that you're hoping to expand on while you go into college. And I know that sports is evolving so fast now. The technology is changing so often that it's definitely something that you need to tap a little bit more into as far as what your school is doing in order to really bring students in and get them more involved and more engaged. So as you go over to Cape Central, that's going to be pretty awesome, and being able to help them, I'm sure. Have you gotten started creating any content yet with them going into the fall season?
Not with them. Their boards, I don't think, are going to be put until later July. But one thing I'm going to have to learn is I've never been a huge football person, so I'm excited to learn a lot more about the football. But I've seen like the hype videos and all this stuff that they do, their runouts, and that's what I'm really excited about. Learn more about that, help them create that experience for all their fans. So
yeah, what are your guys' fall sports up in Missouri?
Soccer, softball are their two big ones. Girls volleyball are the big ones. That what we're utilizing the boards with. We're a big soccer, basketball school. If you had to ask me what our big ones are to do. So and to tap on that, the local university, they've been out and have seen stuff and want to know who's creating our content. And I kind of told them, hey, hands off for a year. He is going to your university, but
you're gonna have to fight me for him.
He needs to teach all of us before he leaves us here. But they're looking for people to do the same stuff, because they have a lot of times you put these boards in, and that's what Cape Central, you put these boards in. Since the fact that we had to finance them. Through that, so we had a little help with the advertising and the marketing end of it. When you pay them outright, you're not pushed to utilize them like you are when you owe money on them, per se. So they want to utilize them. Cape Central wants to utilize them to the full capacity that they could do it. So they need to bring people in that are doing that to do that type of key. So I think the same way the university is not just scratching the surface of what they can do with them, but they need somebody coming in with the know-how to how to do them.
Yeah. In addition to all the coding too that you've been doing on the website, what about social media? Have you tapped at all into that?
Well, actually, just recently, especially with the help of you guys. To start, when I was making all the graphics for game days and stuff, I made an Instagram account to help like show that, and like I would have people at the school that repost it, and especially for like their big rivalry games or homecoming and stuff like that. I mainly did more basketball because that was kind of our like student thing, and I started tapping into it less during baseball because I was working on other stuff like their walkout songs and all that, but I'm hoping to get back into that soon, especially with the more free time. But I'm starting to create like Twitter and all this just to try to help promote myself and some of the work I've done, posting a lot of the stuff I've made that I was really proud of. So
yeah, that's awesome. What about player profiles? I know that that's like a big hot thing that people are tapping into as far as creating content goes for the school. And have you been able to take that to the next level? What types of projects are you working on outside of just creating hype clips and stuff like that?
Like I said before, one of the big things that we do is you're starting lineups, you're starting announcements for any sport. I think we've done it for actually every single one that we have the boards for. We'd have them in. We have a green screen in house, and we'd have them do some kind of thing. Like if there's a soccer ball, they'd hold it and like look at the camera, look intimidating, whatever you want to do, look silly, and I'd have their like name and their number show up on the board, and we'd incorporate that when we'd announce them. So I'd wait for them. I'd know the order, so I'd play it, and they'd announce their name with their music going off in the back. So for basketball, soccer, we'd do that for all the starting lineups. So for baseball and softball, we'd incorporate it with their walk-up songs too. So whenever they'd walk up, you'd see their name, their number, and their little.
What about like matchup graphics? Have you gotten into that at all? Like halftime? Have you ever seen like those graphics during halftime where there's something hidden underneath like the 3 basketballs or the 3 baseball caps, and then it switches around, goes back and forth, and then it uncovers and shows everybody which one it was under?
I have not gotten into that myself. I've looked into it. That's a lot of 3D design. That I really do want to get into that. It's just a lot of teaching, and I don't know. That might be a lot harder to self-teach, but I'm really hoping to eventually get into something like that with 3D design using programs such as like Blender and things like that. I've kind of dabbled in it, but not very much.
Yeah, Blender is definitely a step.
One of the neat things that he's left off that we did that was a game changer for us, and we didn't realize it at the time, is senior nights. One thing that we used to do, the seniors filled out a form. We introduced the senior. We read their form. You know, what's your favorite memory? How many years have you played basketball? Well, now we put the kids in with the green screen and have them do it. Thank their parents. Get up and talk a little bit about themselves, and then we show that video on senior night. And the kids hate it because it's different for them getting in front of video. But the response back from the parents tear up and they love it. And they get to see their kid up on there. And kid gets an opportunity to thank the parents personally and thank the school or whatever they choose to do. So coming up with little ideas like that was just something we did. And in the fall, just really on my end to make it easier as the AD, because if it's on a video, you press a button and you go. But it just the response that it's had with that stuff has just been phenomenal. So just little ideas of there's not a bad idea. There's not something that's worth trying.
I think too, probably the perk of all of this is that you really can take it at your own pace, right? Like you start somewhere and then you can keep going and growing that.
Oh yeah, I mean, like we've done so many things that like weren't even involving sports. Like one thing I remember we did, we have a thing called Activity Week where we do a bunch of fundraisers, and there's an assembly every single day for the students. Something special that Notre Dame does that you won't see anywhere else. Like people dress up, they have competitions. And I remember for a couple of them, we were actually able to take the SV Capture. They have like an obstacle course, and we had like a teacher try to do it, and he like fell over, and everybody thought it was funny. We were able to put it back on the board and do replays and stuff like that, and just do things like that weren't even involved in sports, but something else that's just helping your school base there. So
yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, we took it and we knew going in that this was a lot, and we just talked a little bit earlier that the app and then SV Capture are things that we just really just barely got into because we didn't want to overwhelm ourselves with stuff. We wanted to kind of perfect some of the little things with that, and that's kind of what we're looking forward to this year is really getting more involved with that. We did a few little replays throughout basketball season and stuff, and then the kids could realize we had a couple kids recording, so we're getting some fan action going on with that type of stuff, and that's just endless of what you can do because you can turn anybody and everybody loose. We even did with some highlights of a tennis match going on during a volleyball match, just because I wanted to see, hey, we can update what's going on out at our tennis courts here in the gym through volleyball. So we did a little of those things that it just like I said, once you get the bodies able to do that, there's just amazing, enormous things that you can do.
That's awesome. So I'm curious, you're going to get ready, you're going off to college. I know you said that you're going to keep working both for Notre Dame and for Cape Central. How are you planning on getting more students involved in creating this whole atmosphere so that it's not just on you?
Well, one thing, through the broadcasting class that I was in, I got really close to that teacher. I was always in his room working on projects because that's where all the computers were in school. And he's now wanting to learn more about it. And I'm really hoping we're going to be able to incorporate some of the ScoreVision content into that class, and I might even be able to come in and help and try to teach people some about these softwares, give them some projects, and let's just see what they can do with all the new students coming in. So
The big thing is, and I said, it's like building a house. Nobody wants to do the start. Nobody wants to start because they don't know what the end is going to look like. Now we have an end product. We've done a lot of the fun stuff. So I think getting kids more excited about it's going to be great. Our donors, our big people have realized a lot of them went out and spent a lot of money developing commercials early on, and now they realize, hey, I can have these kids come in here and do something that's a lot more fun. It's laid back. They're learning something. So like I said, they got them more involved, and those kids really ate that up last year of helping develop, and we just really got into that in the spring of developing some commercials and keeping the content fresh and new without them having to go spend thousands of dollars on bringing in a group to do commercials. So I think those are the things that's going to transform into having kids excited and do it. I've challenged the kids that what I want to do this year is I want to have we have what we call it recess at lunch. I mean, we're a high school, but our kids kind of hang out in the gym at lunch and go before, just kind of transition how they eat. Well, hey, let's have a week in sports and put it on. Hey, cross country, nobody comes to a lot of you guys just don't have a lot of fan base. Get some video, come up with hey, this happened this week in cross country, and they'll do that stuff to put that content, to see it go up on the board, because then we can take it from the board to social media, and then it's just out there for everybody. So I think the little things that kids are realizing they can do this, and they can do it for their sport and get the attention, and I think those are the little things that's going to help us recruit the kids to be a part of this.
So really it goes beyond the sport for you guys. I mean, you're using the boards for everything, even within your own like education and academics.
Yeah, and I just talked to our development director, because the one thing that I had at zero was a marketing background, and in the last 4 or 5 years has really taken off with that and really been a fun transition in my job. But we have a huge craft fair that takes up all of our gyms and use that. And last year we didn't know really what to do, what we could utilize that for, and all the ideas and stuff that we're coming up with now that we can utilize for the craft fair. And like he said, activity week's our big week. We hammer fundraising out, and there's so many different things that go on through there. And just the scratch and surface. We've already had a movie night out on the baseball field with the FCA. This is something we talked about we wanted to be able to do, and finally able to pull that off. And I think those are going to be more and more things that you can do. And the boards are across the educational what we can do.
Do you feel like because of that and because of how involved the community's gotten, that there's been like a culture shift at your school?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think it's the importance of social media, the importance of the website, the importance of all the things that the new world. I mean, that's what these kids. It started with him in junior high. Doing his own little YouTube videos, which I kind of laughed at the time, but it's kind of evolved into something that's helping me. And when we got these scoreboards, I never dreamed that this would be something that would lead for him. This was when I got him. This was not something I had. Oh, my son's going to be doing this. It's just a knack. I come home and talking about him, and then his background in technology and some of the stuff. But watching what these kids can do on their phones is unbelievable. You give a kid, the first thing he did is create the Notre Dame logo revolving, because SEMO had it. I went by, SEMO leaves their boards on all the time. They had their logo return. I said, hey, I want that. I'm thinking, hey, there's no way he's going to be able to do this. But I said, hey, I really want this. I want to be able to put this up on the board. It's the first thing I want up on there. And in 5 minutes, he's pumping it out, and he has it. And he wasn't giving himself enough credit. He throws graphics up within 20 minutes. I mean, we'd have senior signings, because I'm not real good at it sometimes. I'm calling him while he's at the CTC. Oh, crap, I forgot this kid is signing today. Can you get him a graphic done? Sure, what university is it? He has it, and he has it uploaded from across town and has it, and I got to press a button to execute it so that we have this kid, honoring this kid on a signing day. So, I mean, it isn't easy. It is unbelievable. Like I said, I think we've only scratched the surface of what we can do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, Blake, I got to know too. This is our last and final question, because I know we got to wrap this thing up. But I do want to ask, how do you think this will continue to evolve over time? And what advice would you give somebody else who's in your position, who's just interested in creating content? How would you advise them to get started?
Oh gosh, to say how it's going to evolve. I mean, I don't even know, because you talk about the first thing I ever created was for softball, and then looking at baseball, looking at the two projects, just how much better I've gotten through it. Just working on them, just learning myself, learning what you think looks better, finding your niche. The best advice I can give is I just say, just do it. I mean, there's some things, like I've even created some things that I didn't end up liking, and we'd play it anyways. And there's a certain things like that, and it's going to happen. But the more you do it, the more you put into it, the better you're going to get at it. And I think if you just keep going for it and just keep trying it, start by making, like I said, I started by making YouTube videos that I thought they were funny and they weren't good. And you just keep going at it. You're eventually going to get somewhere, and I think that's just going to show eventually in your work. So
trial and error,
and you're going to fail. I mean, you're going to create stuff that's garbage, and it's just going to be what it is, and you learn from it and move on. And we have, and like I said, there was things he thought, I'm not. You're not playing that. I said, no, it's awesome. We're playing it. I mean, it's just because you know what you have expectations for yourself, but it's just a cool, like, you're going to fail, but the trial of it is to do it. You're going to succeed more, and that's the beauty of it. And if you don't like it, you only got to play it once, take it back off there. So, like he said, where we came from the fall, from just the softball graphics to the baseball graphics, the things we did by the end of basketball, what we were doing by adding the capture a little bit and doing that stuff is just to think 5 years from now where we're going to be is just crazy to be thinking that.
That's awesome. Well, there you have it. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I know it was definitely a great conversation that I'm hoping will help a lot of people out there as they start trying to grow their athletic department. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.